The topic that we've been trying to cover is around how often we tend to avoid facing our issues, our challenges in life, problems, whatever you like to call them, and almost being like that bird that puts its head in the, is it ostrich or who does it, putting the head in the sand to avoid anything that it doesn't want to deal with. And we all find ourselves, some people more, some less, in those situations by not even acknowledging often that there is an issue. And that keeps us stuck. Until we recognize that there is an issue, we can't move to the next step. And I guess the next step for me would be recognizing that it could be different in most situations. There are situations, of course, like our challenge with technology now, when we kind of run out of options and we have no other choice. But in most situations, there is something that you can do. But first, you need to recognize that there is a problem. Then that you want things to be different, and it is possible for things to be different. So I think that's what we want to explore today, is really to see the whole path from ignoring the issue to how it's possible to deal with it, address it, and feel empowered in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautifully said. I would also add, when you were talking, it reminded me on two things. So first is that it's in our human nature that we tend to avoid problems because it's easier to look the other way. And it's painful if you see, oh, I have problems here, I have problems there. And sometimes we are not ready to face them and to challenge them and to do something about them. But this is crucial that we do that. We are not like this ostrich that just don't want to see the danger around them, because the thing isn't going away usually. And the other thing is, when you were talking about Irina, I remembered one lady. She was years ago really into spirituality, and she was doing this beautiful etherical essence that you could spray the room and you would be like connected to your spirit realms and everything. And after 6 months, she closed down her business. And we were all shocked. Why? And then she apologized and she said, I knew I needed to do all this bureaucracy, but because of this spiritual thinking, that if I only think about good things, only to look for the positive, then my problems will go away. So she didn't face that problems that are in the real world. She was just living in some higher spiritual realms. And then she had to close it down because, the government pushed her. You have to pay the bills, you have to file the papers and everything. So if we are not facing what we need to do, then those problems, they just pile up and they become bigger and bigger. And it can be in our relationships, in our jobs, in our careers, everywhere. If we don't see where we are, and we are in this, some say, toxic positivity, or just avoiding problems for all costs and not being able to see them, not even be aware of them, because it's easier if we are not aware of them, then things can get really, really bad, and I wouldn't recommend this. So if you maybe somebody who is listening find themselves in these kind of stories, just seek some professional help, because we can help. Yeah, it's easier. It's much easier than it sounds. It seems.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. I could hear you perfectly this time, but the image is completely frozen. I don't know if it's just for me or for everyone.
I can see you. I can see you.
Okay, that's good. And, as you were speaking, what I thought about it is also sometimes when we are aware that there is an issue, yet we may not be willing, and I'm thinking of personal examples. I tend to do that occasionally, especially with certain medical concerns. If I feel like something is off, and I might put off going and seeing a doctor because I really don't like the whole medical realm. And what I noticed is, if I'm postponing it, so there is an issue and I'm not facing it, I'm not dealing with it, it's like having this open tab on the computers. It's taking up a lot of bandwidth, right? So somewhere in the back of my mind, I know that there is an issue and I need to deal with it, and I'm not dealing with it. And it could be anything. It could be procrastinating, moving your business, or ending a relationship that's not working. And it's there, it's taking up mental space, it's taking up energy, and quite often we make up unconscious stories around it that are way more scary than the reality would have been. So, if it's a medical concern, maybe we end up going to the doctor and they will say, well, it's absolutely, minor thing. Here is what you need to do for 3 days, and that's it. But when it's there and we're just pushing it away, we're pretending like I don't want to look there, I don't want to deal with it. On some level, we're creating a much scarier story. Or, if we are putting off, I don't know, having a difficult conversation at work, for example, or with your partner, again, we might create an unconscious story around it that it's going to be much worse than it would really end up being once we finally do have that conversation. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're still with me.
Yes, I am.
Because
I am.
still serious frozen.
I see you like really normally. Yeah, that with medical things, this is really crucial that we act when we feel something. Okay, not if something itches, then you just run to the doctor. But if something like stays there for, I don't know, some limbs in the breast or something, it's crucial that we go, because these things can really progress fastly. And if they don't discover it soon enough, then it might be also too late, or the treatment is much worse than it would be. So it's good to do that really, really on time. Yeah, do you have any techniques in mind that we could use to face the challenges, how to solve the problems, how to address them, how to even be aware of something is not right? Last time we were talking about feeling the body. So if your body is telling you something is not okay, that it doesn't feel right in your body, maybe some person or the job or something, that you start to be curious about it, to be aware of what is the underlying issue. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I still invite everyone to really learn to connect to the body and listen to the body. What I do when I wake up every morning, before I even open my eyes, I scan the body and I notice if there is any discomfort, if there is any tension anywhere. And I love the saying by Dr. Gabor where he says, where there is tension, it requires attention. So it's not a natural state of the body. If there is any tension present, it's a messenger. It's telling you something is off in your life, right? So explore it. What is it about? And again, if you don't know how to do it on your own, there is help available. Get a coach, get a therapist, find the person who's right for you. And the idea is not to have them for the rest of your lives there, helping you deal with every challenge that arises, but they can teach you to do it on your own. That's the idea, actually. The idea when we onboard people is to help them learn the ways to be with themselves, if you like. And so you can do it on your own going forward. But it's more of an experiential thing, and it's unique for everyone, right? So I don't think there is one size fits all. It's yes, listen to your body, get curious, and don't label anything as good or bad. I'm really, and that ties into the comment you made earlier, Petra, around this toxic positivity. I'm really not a fan of this whole good vibes only and all of that. That's literally that ostrich in the sand approach. It's like, no, I'm not looking at anything that is not good. But it is there. That's the nature of our world. It's very dual. There are things that are more pleasant. There are things that are not. And they're all part of our experience. So even the uncomfortable feelings in the body, they are necessary. They're teaching you something. They're helping you work through certain issues, limiting beliefs, etc., to get you to a better place. So, yeah. again, it's about awareness, it's about presence, it's about curiosity, and it is about compassion. And if you don't know how to do it yourself yet, get someone who can teach you. Reach out to someone. And as much as I am a huge fan of having friends and community around you, it's very important. It's great support system. They are not often the right people to do that. And quite the opposite. Your friends would often help you unconsciously. What they'll do is keep you stuck in your story because they want to support you, and their idea of support is often to validate the story. So if you're telling them this person has mistreated me, they would often say, yeah, he's such a horrible person, because they want to align with you. But that's not often helpful. You need someone who would say, well, let's explore. Maybe they are, and maybe they are not. And what is your part in that interaction? And that's not something that most friends can really provide with.
Yeah, I think they are not comfortable in this kind of role because friendship is like, I would say real friendship is pushing you in the both ways. So being there for you, but also showing you sometimes what are your blind spots. Let's say it like that, because we don't see. And if I see somebody that I'm a friend for a long time in the same pattern, just repeating the cycle after cycle, I will say something, have you ever considered about this? Not you're a bad person or something, but just like you said before, bringing curiosity, bringing awareness into the existing cycle or pattern that somebody is having. And but I think this is also professional deformation that we are doing.
Exactly, because
and
you
coaches and
know
therapists. So but most people, they don't do that. They just support you in whatever way. And if you say for one day, oh, that person is really bad, they will say yes, she is. If you say next day, oh, I really like them, oh yeah, they're really good. So yeah.
And it goes both ways. On one hand, you have the eye, if you like, to see these things, the patterns, and because of your professional background. So even when you interact with a friend, you can recognize them being stuck in their story, in their pattern, and you can challenge them, while some people may not. Also, you have the confidence to do it, and perhaps you have the trust in the relationship and knowing that the friend you're talking to is actually okay now to hear the truth, to accept the truth. And they will not think, oh my God, this woman is crazy, or she's such a whatever, I didn't ask for her therapy, coaching, whatever. I just need her to support me. You know that perhaps people you're friends with are more aware and more open to that sort of feedback. And I was just thinking of the conversation we had, I think, last week, when you almost kind of mirrored some things to me and challenged me in some beliefs. And for a second, it was uncomfortable. And I caught myself thinking, oh, that's interesting. There is a part of me that's like, because the truth is often uncomfortable. But I really appreciated it in the end. I was reflecting after, and I was like, yeah, you did help me see my pattern and my thinking and how it's affecting me. So I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, it takes two person. The friends normally would not have the skills to do that, and not everyone would be right away in a position where they're open to accept it. So if someone just is new to the journey of self-discovery and they come and see their coach, perhaps even as a coach, you will not tell them in the first session everything that they may not be ready to hear yet.
Everything but their own pace. So whenever we see when somebody is ready, we try it and push it a little bit. And if we see they are receiving it well, then we push a bit further. Otherwise, we just try to use some other techniques to challenge their thinking and their beliefs. But so avoiding problems is never good. Is never okay, because they usually bring some more pain, not less. Maybe it's a temporary comfort if you avoid it, but in the long term, it definitely stays there. And like you said, you have this mental task open, and it's heavy. This is heavy, and it's like a real big backpack on your back that you are walking around and carrying some stones inside.
Yeah.
Affects every part of your life, not only this part of the life that is affected by the problem.
Yeah, I love that analogy with carrying that heavy backpack. And that's what we do, right? And that what happens, I think some of the most common examples would involve people, some around the work life, right? When people get stuck in a job where they are miserable and they get stuck there for years and years and years. And the example of that would be they're not really pausing to reflect on it. So they wake up every morning feeling like, oh, I have to go to work. And then, they kind of make it through the day with 15 coffees and probably a few glasses of wine at the end of the day and a few more during the weekend. So it's all living to the weekend and to the holidays. And it's not to blame anyone or, kind of make it bad, but it's about recognizing the pattern and then recognizing that another possibility exists. It may not be immediately available, but by recognizing that perhaps you're not really happy with where you are spending most of your life, and it could be that the tasks that you're doing, that the job is not really interesting or challenging enough, or perhaps too challenging. It may have to do with the management style in the organization you're in or the people around you, whatever it is. It's good to really be aware of it, right? And then it may take some time, but if you're aware that I'm not happy where I am and I do have the power to change it, you can figure out the way towards transitioning into a place where you would be happy. But quite often people get stuck in the story of, well, this is what adult life is like. No one is happy in their job, or whatever the story is you're telling yourself, or I will never find another job. What's your story? Figure it
Life is
out.
suffering.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one example. And the other is very similar when people get stuck in dysfunctional relationships, right? For years and years and years, and they make all these jokes about, how marriages are, etc. But they don't need to be that way. And are you doing anything to change it? Are you recognizing that it's dysfunctional, perhaps? What are the steps are you taking? Or if it's not working out for you and you're not doing anything at all to change it and your partner is not willing to do anything to change it, well, why would you expect it to ever get any better? You're not going to find yourself 10 years down the line, suddenly this relationship transforming.
I would say this is also some other issue in not being confident enough, not trusting yourself. Because I was in that shoes, like you were explaining right now, and I just hadn't the knowledge. I didn't have the trust in me, in my abilities. So I knew I could do everything I want in sport because I showed that and proved that to myself over and over again. But when it came to relationship or the business side, I just I hadn't had any experience in this field. So I never built that trust that I can do it. And it took me a while to build that trust in myself, that I can overcome any challenges that life is throwing at me. And why not looking the other way with facing the reality and with hard work? Like yesterday, we were talking here with some people, and I heard the conversation. Oh yeah, I'm really spiritual, and if I think the positive way, the life will give it to me, and I don't have to work hard for that. And I was like, nah, that's not working, because if you're only meditating and thinking about having this and that, it's 1% chance that you will get this, And if you are proactive and you do something about it, if you go into action and really put this problem that you're facing down in little small bits and manageable acts, what can I do today, what can I do tomorrow, then maybe in a couple of months or years you will get there. But if you just think about it and not doing anything, then nothing will happen,
Absolutely, I'm with you on this, and thank you for sharing also your experience. I think it is very much starts with yourself, right? With the confidence, with self-esteem, with understanding that different way is available to you. And then I think I'm totally with you on the fact that it's mindset plus action.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a journey of taking stock very honestly, vulnerably, where am I today in whatever area of my life? And maybe, I'm very far off from where I would want to be. And then, so that's kind of your starting point A, where I am. And maybe I want to be at point B. What does that look and feel like? And here it is. And so what do I need to do to get from A to B? And that includes the kind of thoughts that I think, but also the kind of actions I take. Because just as you were saying, it's great to have the mindset and sit and meditate and believe that it's going to happen for you. But in the end of the day, if whatever services or goods you're selling, if you're just sitting in your room thinking that you're going to sell a lot of that, but no one knows about you, it's not going to happen. So what are those steps, minor steps that will lead you from A to B? What are the steps you can take today? What are the steps you can take this week, this month, this year? And also recognizing that it's not going to be always straight line up. It's going to be up and down, and that's fine. That's part of the process.
Mm-hmm. I would add, when you said, I'm here, I'm going here, what steps do I need to do? I would also say, add what are the obstacles or what are my beliefs in between that I'm not doing it already.
Yeah.
So why am I not already there? Because if we just put steps, usually it's not that easy. We all have these limiting beliefs in ourselves that are not allowing us to just go to that route that we planned out for ourselves. And addressing those limiting beliefs, what is that I am believing about myself, about the world around me, about the people that I am with, that is preventing me to go from point A to point B. Because if I wouldn't have limiting beliefs, I would already be at the point B, because this is something that I want. And then addressing those and challenge those and remove those, or just make them a bit different, that they aren't limiting but they become empowering beliefs. I think this is the real work that we do as coaches, as therapists.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think, reframing them perhaps. And very importantly, not beating yourself up for not being at point B yet.
Yes.
You are where you need to be. It took some work and effort to get to point A. Let's just acknowledge that. Let's say, okay, I've done the best I could so far. What can I do differently now? What has not worked? What has worked? What are the strengths that I can build on, and where do I need to improve? And as you were saying, Petra, acknowledging those and recognizing those limiting beliefs. And indeed, those are beliefs about yourself, beliefs about the world, about other people, perhaps about your place in the world. And those really, really affect how we show up in the world and what we actually have the guts to claim and ask for and demand for ourselves, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think this is the nice way to stop this conversation, because I think it's something that people can think about and resonate with.
Yeah. Well, we made it.
We made it. Yay. Do you have any closing thoughts that you want to add?
No, I think, as you said, it was for me I like to kind of summarize everything at the end, so it's quite concise and clear. And hopefully, people who listen to us find it useful. If you did, please put some comments in saying what was useful for you. What can you do differently from today, or what are your takeaways? What's the little homework you're assigning to yourself, having listened to us today?
Yeah, it was nice to be here with you. And talk next time.
Yeah, enjoy your travels, Petra. Take care.